Intimate relationships and narcissistic personality disorder. Is a happy, long-lasting relationship possible? By Asia Lopez. Schulman said, "There is no such thing as true compatibility." In America, the three leading causes of divorce are basic incompatibility, infidelity, and money issues. If this is the case, then should we look for any specific aspects in a relationship other than the feeling of being happy with that other person? Relationships in today's day and age are complicated enough. But what happens when one falls in love with a narcissist? There is limited research on narcissistic personality disorder and how it can impact relationships and marriages. Learning this impact is imperative because recent studies have shown that there is an increase in narcissism diagnosis within Western societies, and there are significant increases in young Americans. Is the relationship doomed from the start? Should one run away as fast as possible when they meet a narcissist? Or are there interventions that could produce a happy and long-lasting relationship between a narcissist and a non-narcissist, or even between two narcissists? Research suggests there are ways in which a narcissist can overcome their symptoms in ways that would help them have a fulfilling relationship. Narcissistic personality disorder is a personality disorder in which an individual has an exaggerated, inflated perception of themselves. Symptoms of NPD involves grandiosity. Those individuals crave admiration and respect from others and are quick to engage in self-regulatory strategies to protect their self-views when they need to. Narcissists lack empathy for others, and they tend to have troubled relationships and financial affairs. While the majority of society perceives narcissists to be this way, researchers are learning that this is not the case. Erica Carlson, Samin Vazir, and Thomas Altmans conducted a study to examine worldly perceptions, meta-perceptions, and self-perceptions of narcissists. They concluded that there are two perceptions on narcissism. Each perception provides insight into the deep-rooted issues of NPD and ultimately provides solutions and show that people who suffer from NPD can have a happy and long-lasting relationship. One of these perceptions is called narcissistic ignorance view. This view dictates that narcissists lack insight into their personality and reputation. They fail to understand that they have narcissistic characteristics and maintain overly positive self-perceptions as meta-perceptions. Meta-perceptions are defined as judgments made by oneself about what others think about them. Those who suffer from narcissistic personality disorder and hold these views will also hold relatively positive beliefs regarding their skills and abilities. They will have a grandiose sense of their sexual skills and are more likely to believe that other sexual partners will benefit from their sexual advances. Any narcissist with this kind of self-perception and meta-perception will have complete lack of empathy for others. They tend to exploit others, and they have an unrestricted sociosexuality and will also have permissive attitudes towards casual sex. Alternatively, narcissists with this same perception can live with an extreme fear of abandonment. They'll use these negative traits as a psychological defense to protect the individual from their fear of abandonment and the pain that is associated with it. Any narcissist with these perceptions is more likely to have commitment issues and ultimately will commit infidelity in their relationship or marriage. The second perception is called the narcissistic awareness view, which argues that narcissists are fully aware of their personality, character traits, and their own reputation with others. What this means is that their meta-perceptions are less positive than their own self-perceptions. This is critical information when trying to understand a narcissist and navigate through a relationship with one, because earlier perceptions of narcissism led people to believe that there was no hope for anyone who suffers from NPD. Narcissists who have this awareness are more sensitive to negative feedback and tend to criticize such feedback. The root of this sensitivity is the strict resistance to feeling vulnerable with anyone at any time. And according to Seth Meyers in his article, The True Roots of Narcissism, narcissists can live with anxiety and hypervigilance despite the symptoms of grandiosity and superiority. This claim is also supported by David Keeley, a researcher who conducted a study which concluded that individuals who suffer from narcissistic personality disorder also present signs of depressive and anxiety symptoms in their initial clinical presentation. With respect to a narcissist in a relationship, it makes it difficult to trust their partners because narcissists rarely trust anyone as it is. Additionally, narcissists are prone to become aggressive when they feel their ego and pride are being threatened. If a narcissist believes they are being criticized and that their ego and pride are being threatened, this increases the likelihood for domestic violence, emotional, and mental abuse within a relationship. One of the most important solutions to narcissism includes interventions that prevent people from demonizing those who suffer from narcissistic personality disorder. Society has a negative view of narcissists and will either steer clear of them altogether if they see symptoms of the disorder in a person, or they will constantly berate them by telling them they are narcissists and lack empathy, fueling their aggression, or pushing narcissists deeper into denial of their disorder. Interventions aimed at reducing discriminatory beliefs about narcissists, like any mental illness, will help those who are ashamed of their disorder come forward and have a willingness to go to therapy or couples therapy without the added shame of stigmatization. Strategies for changing public stigma can include 3 approaches: protest, education, and contact. Groups can protest inaccurate and hostile representations of mental illness, as a way to challenge the stigmas they represent. These efforts send two messages. One of these messages is to the media, which says, stop reporting inaccurate representations of mental illness. The other message is to the public, which says, stop believing negative views about mental illness. Another approach can be educating the public on narcissistic personality disorder and what it truly means to live with it. This can help people make better informed decisions about what to do when interacting with someone who suffers from NPD. Finally, providing a safe space for people who suffer from NPD and those who don't suffer from NPD allows them to have interpersonal contact with one another. This interpersonal contact can further diminish the many stereotypes that are associated with narcissistic personality disorder. Next, we will look at some solutions aimed at narcissists. As I've discussed before, narcissists are more likely to commit infidelity within their relationship due to their own sexual narcissism, exploitation, entitlement, and sexual skill. We also know that narcissists are less likely to be committed in a relationship and ultimately cheat due to their fear of abandonment. In Michael Price's article, Changing Behaviors by Degrees, he says that people within society rely more on social cues than informational cues. Narcissists believe they are entitled to sex, not just with their partner, but with anyone they consider fit for sexual intercourse. And this is technically a norm to them. Price says that if you can manipulate what people perceive as social norms, behavior changes can be achieved. If a narcissist's spouse or a therapist can decrease the extent to which a narcissistic individual believes they are entitled to sex, it could lower the risk of committing infidelity. Alternatively, if loyalty and faithfulness were relative to a person's success or achievements and became a social norm, narcissists could strive to be faithful and not commit infidelity in their relationship, because then meta-perceptions and self-perceptions will be more positive for those who have both the narcissistic ignorance perception and narcissistic awareness perception. In addition to preventing stigmatizing narcissists, society also has to understand that narcissists aren't that different from us. Behind the strong and powerful output, narcissists are truly vulnerable and rarely allow themselves to be vulnerable with their spouses. Vulnerability breeds anxiety and trust issues that also cause complications within a relationship. So how does a narcissist allow themselves to be vulnerable? How can their spouse prove they can be trusted? Rather than coddle or inflate a narcissist's self-esteem, the spouse can utilize buttressing. An experimental field study was conducted to confirm whether self-affirmation intervention could reduce aggression in the youth population who suffered from narcissistic personality disorder. students completed either a short self-affirmation writing assignment or a control writing assignment, which asked them to choose several values that were important to them and why they were important to them. They then had to choose several values from the same list that were least important to them, but they then had to explain why these values may be important to other people. They were then asked to indicate the level of agreement for each statement made within the writing assignment. The findings in this study concluded that the assignment did work and reduced aggression by reaffirming the students' self-worth, leaving them less vulnerable to ego threats. The study did well to not boost self-esteem, but buttress self-esteem. This study could be applied for couples where one or both partners suffer from NPD and determine whether these self-affirmation assignments could be used to reduce aggression as well as build trust and communication within the relationship. Dr. Marian F. Solomon, who specialized in couples and relationships therapy, confirms that treating someone with narcissistic personality is not a short-term process. People with NPD commonly develop the disorder due to childhood trauma that isn't properly addressed or repaired. When they enter a relationship, one or both partners expect the other to meet underlying needs, which are mostly unacknowledged. When the partner inevitably fails, needs remain unmet, and old feelings of disappointment and vulnerability reemerge. Couples who plan to enter therapy can use writing assignments to understand their own needs or fears in a relationship, and with the help of a therapist or counselor during conjoined sessions, they can process these concepts to set up a positive thought process and communication pattern. Narcissists deserve to be loved too. There are many ways in which individuals who suffer from narcissistic personality disorder can have happy and long-lasting relationships. Society as a whole must prevent one another from demonizing those who are narcissists in order to prevent fueling their aggression or pushing narcissists deeper into denial of their disorder. Two ways to prevent this are by not reporting inaccurate representations of mental illness, specifically narcissism, and stop believing negative views about mental illness. Infidelity rates, which is one of the leading causes of divorce, could be prevented in couples where one or both are narcissists by decreasing the extent to which a narcissistic individual believes they are entitled to sex. Finally, self-affirming assignments with the help of a third-party person, such as a therapist or counselor, could prevent ego threat and continued vulnerability, buttressing self-esteem so that the narcissist does not lash out. Thank you.